What's going on, gamers? So Linux has shared his point of view on Microsoft. This literally just went live recently. He says Xbox might be cooked, so he wants to give us analysis on why he thinks that. Let's take a look at this and let's get into this. Remember, this is what he's saying. Here we go. We have a video too up by Max, which I think is interesting. We'll get to that later, though. All right, here we go.
Microsoft is in the news for hiking the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate again, and this time by 50%, leading to an historic surge of angry gamers smashing the unsubscribe button. And it has everyone from Microsoft's partners to the press to even individual gamers asking themselves, what the hell is going on at Xbox? I mean, one day, Microsoft is celebrating, hey, Game Pass is totally making tons of money, whoa! And then the next day they're like, actually, we're gonna need more money from you? Thanks. On one hand, they're promising new Xboxes are coming for really actually real this time. And then on the other hand, they're like, look at me, your phone is the Xbox now. The same day that Phil Spencer sent out a memo that said, our game roadmap has never looked stronger, they notified Xbox employees of a 10% staff reduction.
Yeah, I just feel like that's Satya PR nonsense.
Across several studios, alongside the cancellation of multiple games. Well, which is it, Microsoft? Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. I mean, it shouldn't surprise us that much. If we go back to 2013, there was that time Microsoft forgot they were making a game console.
Xbox, go home.
But more recently, these WTF moments seem to be happening more and more frequently to the point where it's raising the question, is Xbox even going to exist within another generation or two? Which is a huge problem because even though I've never actually owned one personally, I 100% appreciate the value of having Xbox as a player in the space. There's so few console
Yeah, when they were like that, yeah.
makers now, and seeing one of the major makers bow out now would be a big problem for competition.
I have owned a lot of Xboxes, and I'm also really terrified of a gaming future where Sony and Nintendo are gonna have free reign to do whatever they like. Free reign, like do our segues to our sponsors.
Hetzner, get a powerful
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna happen. We'll go ahead and get past this. But you have gaming because of Nintendo.
kick this off with a crackdown on Xbox for all of its many problems these days, but let's give credit where it's due.
And they're worried about like price hikes, free monopoly. Definitely with Sony, I can understand that. We're gonna see what happens, but yeah, I mean that's possible. It's not like Microsoft is doing anything great. You know, they're making it worse. You see what I mean? So it's like, I mean, you could say that, but there's nothing you can do to change that. They screwed up everything.
$30 a month.
So it's their fault.
12 is $360.
Oh my God, we're so back. We're living in the 360 era again. Let's go.
Okay, but for real, Xbox and PC Game Pass have been a great value for a lot of gamers. They've allowed people to try out experiences they might have otherwise overlooked, gotten eyes on games that might have struggled to find an audience, and, according to some devs, even provided a stabilizing, de-risking presence for some smaller indie releases. It's been so good, in fact,
Yeah, till yesterday.
that the service has frankly overshadowed their hardware for quite a while now. Which is a shame because Xbox's hardware has also been traditionally pretty darn solid. We're PC people, which means we're often deriding consoles for their aging mid-tier hardware, but when you bear down on what you get for your dollar, it's kind of hard to argue with the original MSRPs of the series lineup. Just ignore the two price hikes just for a minute. We'll get to those later. Point is, for a long time, the combination of an Xbox Series S, or even the X for that matter, plus Game Pass, was a pretty killer entry point into high fidelity gaming. And this next one definitely benefits us less, but you gotta give credit, I guess, to Xbox's business side for successfully accumulating new studios and publishers like a gem-hungry Thanos. It has
Not Linux, I'm sorry, I can't agree with that because they made those studios worse. They injected their garbage into it, tanked down their metas. People are leaving and they made them worse. They did not get better. The only benefit we got was those free games in the meantime, but they were being sacrificed in the process. Made everything worse. And you were hoping that it would have been better, but I have not seen any game or any developer make a better game since they joined them. No, it's worse than what they had before, and the sales have significantly dropped.
drastically increased their overall gaming revenue, and to Microsoft's credit, for better or for worse, they haven't greedily gatekept those franchise stones from the competition, which
Of course not, because their platform is a failure. It's a sinkhole. You're going to sit there with those games not selling on your market after killing with Game Pass? You got to branch out. So the monopoly, like I said, is kind of pointless in that sense because you can't use it for your own benefit except from a third-party expansion. Outside of that, because your ecosystem is so dead and you've killed your market, you can't sit there and lock those games there. They would just lose a ton of money, and that's not going to be the Microsoft richness that they want. It's just suicide, and it cannot work, and it's impossible. So monopolizing to ruin a company and then have to branch out is just idiotic. That's why I say like they are the worst. And what's the point of being in the gaming industry? I would rather somebody have it to where at least I can lock it there and sell a ton of copies. But they can't do that. So what's the point? No, you got to branch out. And if you're making the developers worse, then what is the point of even getting them? Leave them alone then. They could go third party without you. You just wanted to put your label there and make them worse. So that's all I see.
Kind of plays into what looks to us like what might be a big switch away from hardware and toward providing services.
Now, Xbox has stated many times that they do have more Xbox hardware on the way, but honestly, each press release feels less and less like an exciting promise and more like damage control over some bad headlines. Through both the naming of the current two-tier generation and the fact that seemingly everything with a screen could technically be an Xbox, Microsoft is telling us that a singular Xbox is not at the center of their game plan. And that means that resources which used to be spent on making the ultimate Xbox experience in one place, like engineering and design time, are trickling out to make their streaming app pretty
You know
okay.
what that is? Help, needle in the arm. Hey, help, needle in the arm. I don't know what I'm doing. Please help me. I made terrible decisions and I'm in a sinkhole. I can't do it by myself, standing independently like Sony and Nintendo. So please help me out. Don't know what I'm doing. Every decision I make makes everything worse. That's the reality.
Okay on your LG TV or your Samsung phone. You can kind of see this change with the first-party Xbox handheld being canned, in part due to Microsoft not being so confident they could sell 10 million of them, which, to be fair, not even the Steam Deck has sold that many units. Instead, we're seeing Big Green offload their work and the risk to simply facilitate the release of an ASUS handheld with an Xbox button. And although this might seem just like a neat little side quest that should have little bearing on the future of Master Chief's chefs, it does raise major questions about a shift in paradigm at the old Redmond offices.
Microsoft once fought hard to make their own hardware. Take the Surface, for example, Microsoft's tablet and laptop lineup. They could have easily maintained the status quo, just building their software as bestest as they can and letting the various OEMs build their systems around it. But instead, they invested many millions of dollars to design and build devices from the ground up with custom parts and, this is important, full control of the compromises that make a Surface a Surface. And that point is really important because pretty much every piece of consumer tech has some kind of compromise at its core. Now, usually, these compromises are to keep the cost of manufacturing down so that the price doesn't go too high. Things like skipping out on an OLED screen or making the disk drive a separate thing. But sometimes these compromises could be to the margin of the manufacturer. Say, for example, because they intend to make it back when they sell you software down the road. That's the big deal breaker with the new ASUS Xbox handhelds. Microsoft isn't subsidizing the cost, and ASUS has to make money on every unit sold because they don't get a 30% cut of whatever you buy in the Xbox store. So the one you actually want is $1,000 US. I mean, that's not that unreasonable given the hardware that's in it and what the costs of it are. But I mean, that is galaxies away from mainstream pricing. And it's another signal on top of the increased cost of services and the increased cost of Microsoft's own hardware.
You see what he's doing here. You know what I mean? Like 1,200 and then imagine 2 years of Game Pass on that Ally. Yeah, you're heading towards the 2,000 range already. Yeah. I'll talk about getting more storage too for the other one. Now you're not ready for that. It's
The
terrible.
Xbox just is not focused on bringing the best value in gaming, at least not the way they used to be. But then if Microsoft is just getting OEMs to make their hardware for them now, is Xbox just a logo and Windows?
Hey, what's so bad about Windows being at the center of the future of Xbox? I mean, Windows has phenomenal cosmic compatibility and itty bitty little issues that really do add up. Windows has primarily been a mouse and keyboard product, and using a joypad or touchscreen to navigate currently sucks. The years of patchwork development, multiple releases, and the need for their OS to do everything, not just games, means that there's a ton of inefficiencies and extra processes in the background versus something like SteamOS. Microsoft is working on these issues. Their new Windows handheld mode might actually release before this video does. But what they will never fix is a miscreant's ability to win every match in every lobby by nefarious means. You can't lock Windows down enough to prevent cheating. And they can't really prevent other storefronts from appearing on it, which from a gamer standpoint is pretty freaking great. We love competition, but from Microsoft's perspective, this sucks. Unlike a lockdown
just like the company
console ecosystem, Xbox's services on Windows are just one of several options. They have to keep the value of PC Game Pass much more competitive than on Xbox. There is also an Xbox game storefront on PC, but do you know anyone who buys games from there? I don't think so. And while I've heard the fan theories that Xbox is desperate to get Game Pass on competing console platforms, I just don't see that happening. For one,
not tanking our market still. No, get out of here because you're losing. Don't come over here with that loser shit.
Their primary competitors are not interested in having Game Pass in their ecosystem. Nintendo, Sony, and Valve all make their money selling games. And having a competing service that does measurably reduce the amount of games sold is not good business. Two, even if they do let Microsoft weasel its way in, they are simply not gonna do so without taking their cut, probably something like 30%. And at that point, I don't think Game Pass can take that big of a hit and remain profitable. And three, this might be the biggest one, Microsoft has signaled that having their biggest hitters as day one offerings on Game Pass loses them a lot of potential money, like the $300 million they left on the table with the latest Call of Duty.
Concord, hold my beer. Let me spend $70 billion and lose $300 million, then jack the price up on you. Oh yeah, amazing.
Right now, Microsoft gets to eat their cake with 37 million Game Pass subs and have it too by
used to be there, but not anymore. That's all tanked down.
Still selling millions of copies to PlayStation owners. Black Ops 6 was the highest grossing title in franchise history. And this isn't just a COD thing. Microsoft has been the top publisher on PlayStation for several months. And so, even though it feels like
yeah, that was cool, but that's like your first time releasing your flagship games, and they would have everything was canceled. It's a window, but you don't see that happening anymore. Like that stuff just tanks down, and they're just gonna get that Call of Duty vanity. But they were doing that without them. That's what I'm saying. It's deceptive. You're not really your games are not really there. There's no Halo there, no Gears there. Forza is cool. That did well, but you can't release that every year. So how many games can they consistently put over there and top the charts? You know what I mean? They have to consider doing that consistently because EA would do that consistently yearly. Ubisoft used to do that, right? Rockstar, Capcom, Square Enix, they were doing that for 30 straight years, you know what I mean? So in order for them to get in there and do that, they're going to have to do a much better job of that. And that's the most important thing for them because everything else is tanked off. This is their only route. So they have to make sure third party works or get out the industry. What's the point then? There's no
Microsoft
point.
keeps shooting themselves in the foot at every possible occasion. And even though customers are seemingly turning on Xbox in every market, and even though their piece of the hardware pie keeps shrinking, their gaming division is making more revenue than ever in the history of all of Xbox. Just because I don't like what they're doing doesn't mean it isn't working for them.
Yeah, but you're saying revenue, show me profit, because it's deceptive. You're not making much profit at all. It's just revenue from monopolizing and spending a bunch of corporate fund money, but you couldn't do that internally to get to that position. You're just buying somebody else's pre-made success that they worked on for 2 decades and then just bundling that in behind your failures. Pulling down the curtain.
And while I really disagree with some of their moves, I think the discussion is less about Microsoft's failing strategy and more about them acknowledging the situation. That games exclusivity driving console sales as a primary revenue stream is a thing of generations past. At least for them. But with that said, even Sony is smelling the roses these days. The PS5 has arguably Sony's weakest lineup ever of exclusives, and yet it's their most profitable generation ever, which just goes to show people are still buying the consoles, even without the killer apps. But thanks to capitalism, no competition means that the monopoly charges whatever the heck they want. So please, Valve, please have the new Steam machines be good. Make them a real
Yeah, Valve can do some, but it's like, why would I want Microsoft around? They're the worst. Look at what they try to do with Activision. They are the worst. They can't make anything grow. They destroy everything. So what is the point of them being around? Them leaving is not bad. That's good. Stop trying to swallow the gaming industry and ruin it. And it's not letting you do it. Get out. I would rather have Sony and Nintendo only be there. It was fine before. You know what I mean? And obviously we didn't want to lose Sega, but Steam is definitely what I would call the next third aspect. And I think that could be good as an OS because Steam OS is way better. I'm for that, yeah. But Microsoft, I don't really care. They can leave. It doesn't bother me.
competitor for a 4K gaming system. Help me, Gabe Kenewell. You're our only hope. Just like this segue is a new hope for our sponsor, Vessi. We're partnering with Vessi.
That's this partnership. Good video, Linux. But obviously, he wants to help Microsoft. He would like to see them do well from an American standpoint. I see in his background and everything what he was kind of trying to do there. I get the point. But hey, when they do something good, then it'll be celebrated. But right now, nothing's really looking good, and looking like Steam is going to have to come in. If they do have a machine, I think that would be, not too bad. But look at what the Steam Deck did. But anything is still better than nothing, though. So I don't know. You never know if they put the right price tag on it. Could it get to 15 million, 20 million? If they can Steam Deck can come in, or some Steam console can come in and do that, what's wrong with that? Hey, nothing wrong with that. But that's about it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Like, comment, subscribe. As usual, bringing you more angles. Cool video, Linux. Later.